History often turns on a single decision, but some victories would have reshaped the entire world. So imagine a world where the most destructive war of the 20th century ended differently. A world where Nazi Germany didn't crumble in 1945, but stood triumphant over Europe. This is not a celebration. This is a glimpse into the chilling timeline that could have been. A world we narrowly avoided. Welcome to ChronoShift. By the early 1940s, the Third Reich had swallowed most of Europe with terrifying speed. Poland, France, the Low Countries, all under Hitler's control. But Germany's downfall was rooted in the same ambition that drove its rise. Overextended fronts, failed diplomacy, technological gaps, and the brutal winters of the East. Once Hitler invaded the Soviet Union and declared war on the United States, the Reich sealed its fate. It simply awakened too many enemies. Too far, too powerful, too determined. But what if just a few key decisions had gone differently? To realistically imagine a German victory, we must step into a version of World War II, where the mistakes that doomed the Reich never happened. No fantasy superweapons, no magic, only strategy, timing, and consequences, grounded in real military capability. So we ask the pivotal question: what is the smallest change that could have led to a Nazi victory? Historians overwhelmingly point to one moment: June 1941, Operation Barbarossa. In our timeline, Hitler launched the invasion of the Soviet Union late, splitting his armies between the Balkans and the Eastern Front. This delay allowed Soviet forces time to reposition, regroup, and ultimately survive the winter. But in this alternate timeline, Hitler does not delay. He postpones intervention in the Balkans. He invades the Soviet Union in May, not June. The German military advances faster, avoids the worst of the winter, and reaches Moscow before the Soviets fully reorganize. With the capital fallen, Stalin flees east. The Soviet state fractures. No Battle of Stalingrad, no massive Soviet counteroffensives. The Red Army never regains its momentum. The Eastern Front collapses, and Germany wins. This is the moment the world changes. 1942-1945, a German Europe. With the Soviet Union defeated, Germany shifts millions of troops back to the west. Britain, isolated and exhausted, accepts a negotiated peace to avoid total destruction. The United States, unwilling to invade a fortified continent alone, focuses on Japan instead. Europe becomes a collection of puppet regimes, occupied territories, collaborator states, and the Greater German Reich itself. A new order descends across the continent, authoritarian, efficient, and ruthless. The fate of the Jews and other groups, with no external forces pressuring the Reich, the Holocaust accelerates. The genocide expands, reaching deeply into Eastern Europe. This is the darkest part of the alternate timeline, a reminder that a German victory would have meant unparalleled human catastrophe. The United States in a new world, America becomes a superpower still, but a contained one. Its alliances shift. Latin America strengthens its ties with the U.S. Canada becomes a strategic shield. The U.S. Navy turns the Atlantic into a defensive zone. The U.S. and Germany soon enter a Cold War, two ideologies staring at each other across the ocean. Japan and the Pacific. With no European front draining resources, Germany supports Japan more aggressively. Japan expands across Southeast Asia and holds much of China. The Pacific War becomes longer and bloodier. The U.S. may still use the atomic bomb, but nuclear weapons only harden the new geopolitical divide. Technological race of the 1950s-1970s. A German victory accelerates certain technologies. Jet aircraft, ballistic missiles, early computers, space exploration. But at a moral cost: forced labor, exploitation of conquered nations, and state-controlled research. The US and Germany enter a space race decades earlier. Imagine the first man in space wearing a German uniform, the US rushing to outdo them. A bipolar world split between authoritarian Europe and democratic America. Humanity advances under the shadow of oppression. The 21st century, a divided planet. By the year 2000, the world resembles the Cold War, but flipped. Europe is the authoritarian bloc. America and remnants of the Commonwealth form the Democratic Alliance. Africa and the Middle East are carved into German economic zones. Russia is fragmented and controlled. Asia is divided between Japan, China, and German influence in the West. The internet exists, but censored and controlled in Europe. Culture is dominated by propaganda. Freedom of speech is rare. Surveillance is routine. This is not a world of peace. It is a world frozen by fear. Alternate history is not just imagination. It is a mirror. In this timeline, Germany wins the war, but humanity loses something far greater: freedom, diversity, the right to question power, the ability to challenge tyranny. Our real timeline is far from perfect, but the world we live in today, fractured, flawed, sometimes chaotic, is still shaped by the triumph of those who resisted oppression. Sometimes history spares us from the path we could have taken, and this is one of those times. If Germany had won World War II, the world would have become colder, harsher, and far less free. But exploring these timelines reminds us why the choices of the past matter, and why our present is worth defending. Thank you for watching ChronoShift. If you want more timelines, more worlds that might have been, click subscribe and step into the next what if.